Hello everyone, how are you? Before I start this session, I wanted to make you understand that it's not just the digital marketing agency that you can start. There are other options which also origins from the same funnel. So if you see here, we have, apart from just the digital marketing agency, we have other kind of agencies that you can start. So for example, we can start up with a small unit of creative content writer who can solve the problem of generating right content, be it for SEO or for any other brand's creative strategies. We can also start something wherein we handle the social media management part of the companies. So a lot of people, they are only looking for social media management. They don't look for SEO, they don't look for lead generation, they only look to enhance their brand through social media. And this space is very well untapped as of now. I don't see a lot of agencies who are specifically focusing on social media as such. So this is one of the other sector that you can eye on. The third one is obviously the big one, the full service digital marketing agency. That's what we do for now. When we talk about full service digital marketing agency, we cover almost all the angles of digital marketing, be it content creation, be it the call support, be it anything. Call support is something that we have not entered into yet, but this is what we are planning to do in the future. So full service is basically taking a client, hand-holding it from the startup, building the website, maintaining the sales funnel, the CRM, and marketing their products. Everything A to Z is done by a full service digital marketing agency. Then we have something called, let's say, PPC management agency. And you might have already heard about a lot of US clientele who outsource PPC and ad management to countries like India. And there's a good 10 to 15% of profit margin, and they spend a lot. They spend in a day, they spend about a good 1 lakh to 2 lakh rupees in their campaigns. So if you actually calculate the kind of percentage of management fee that you charge from these people, is really expensive. It's really hefty. So this is one more segment that you can tap to. Then you can also look to do a bit of web development, wherein you only target about the affiliate part of it, wherein you create the landing pages, you prepare a sales funnel so that you can attract that audience that you're looking to sell a product for. A lot of companies these days, if you see actually, a lot of companies, they have their products, mostly in the healthcare sector, if you see. A lot of companies have their supplements and they want the volumes of the sales. So what they do is they outsource the whole selling to the companies who are mostly into the affiliate sector. And affiliate generates the volume for them. They give them 40%, 50%, as Gaurav was mentioning, the kind of percentage of share, the commissions that you get from affiliate campaign is much higher. And that can buy a Mercedes, if you see. So that is another market that you can also tap into. So it's not just the digital marketing part. I mean, digital marketing has a lot of segments to it, and there are a lot of individual portions that you can cover and excel in the industry as well. And of course, if you think that it's the full service that you should go with, I think that's what you should be looking at. So I'll be talking about the various phases that we go and decide whether we can actually start a digital marketing agency or not. Down the line, after 6 months or 7 months, what if it doesn't work? So this is the phase that you need to actually test whether you can survive in the industry or whether this is the thing that you're actually looking for. So freelancing typically goes for about 3 months, is what I believe. 3 to 4 months, you can understand whether you can. This is what actually you should be looking to do in the future or not. So freelancing is the first stage. Then the incorporation is the most important thing. You need to form a group. You need to sound like a team, and then approach the clientele. After that, we have 3 major segments. The one is the reputation building part. In reputation building, you actually provide a lot of services for free, a lot of client relations that you build, and ultimately which results in the online reputation building. The second part is more on the standardization process. Standardization, when I say you automate mostly all of your processes which can be automated and wherein there's a lot of repetitive work that you see. The third part is a multiplication part, wherein the same standardization you multiply into various numbers. And final is expansion. Expansion is open to individuals' thought process and the people who are there in the company. So what I'll do is I'll go and quickly talk about each of these sections in detail so that you have a better understanding of what I'm trying to say. So the first section is freelancing. So when you see, when we talk about freelancing, the free word itself says that, the client has an understanding that he's not going to pay you more. You're going to offer some services which are, going to be very less when compared to the industry rate. So this is the first phase. Anyone who is looking to start an agency, they should start with a freelancing opportunity, because first, that will create their own interest. They'll able to understand whether they're connected to the industry or not. And moreover, they'll also understand how to handle the client on their own instead of just going to build the team. So these are the various opportunities that you can do in freelancing. You can start off as a content writer. You can run a social media page for a brand. You can create creatives for them. You can do partial web development also. So where do you get this freelancing opportunities? These are the three major platforms that I've mentioned, are the most popular ones in the world right now, which have a lot of user base, the people who are looking to get work from freelancers. So Fiverr is one. I think a lot of people must have already heard about what Fiverr is. Yes, no, maybe? Yes. Yeah. Upwork works really well for the content writers because the kind of, if you see there, the kind of content rate that a freelancer put it on Upwork is really expensive. They charge about a good $20 for an hour. And then freelancer. Freelancer has been there existing for a very long time. I think it has been overshadowed by Upwork and Fiverr, but yes, freelancer still works like charm, and I think these are the three platforms that you need to build your portfolio on, and continue to build that portfolio in a way that you don't stop receiving the projects that you're actually expecting to. After all this, if you actually got paid, that's the time for you to start an agency. If you don't get paid, you need to continue freelancing. Okay, so the next phase is incorporation part. Now, incorporation is a very very complicated topic. A lot of people feel that I'll have to spend so much amount of money in incorporating a company, and then I'll have to have a chartered accountant and a lawyer to fill the compliances and all that. So first of all, why is incorporation important? Incorporation is important because it gives you a name. For example, let's say as a freelancer, if you go into the market and if you hunt for a project, you already know that the client is going to negotiate heavily on the prices. So if you have to actually maintain that price range that your efforts are deserving, you need to have an incorporation. You have to go with a group name. So it gives you a name. Second is, it also gives you a kind of safeguards towards the liability. So for example, let's say if something happens wrong with the company, it's not going to affect your personal assets. Company is an identity. The LLP or a private limited companies that we found are the individual identities. So if anything goes wrong with the company, it is going to go from the pockets of the company, and it's not going to affect any of your personal assets. Generally, in the case of proprietorship and partnership, any claims or any damages or any losses to the company are claimed from your personal assets. So what company does is, it basically separates that particular thing for you. And with that, with the kind of government schemes that we have for the startups, you gain a lot of tax advantages also. There's a startup scheme, there's a minimum taxation that is there for any company which is registered since 2014 under the startup schemes. So you gain a lot of tax advantage if you are incorporated. Now, who will do all this? I mean, someone has to take care of the booking, the bookkeeping part of it. Someone has to take care of the regular invoices part of it. So there's a lot of hassle, and people struggle to maintain this. So what I suggest and what I strongly recommend is that this is not the time that you need to invest your time into financials. You need to outsource it. You need to outsource it to the companies like the ones that you can see in the bottom screen. Mera Khata is our own product, so I'm selling it to you. The startup buddies is also kind of competition to us, and then we have the virtual CFO. So what they do basically is they act as virtual financial officer of your companies. They take care of all the compliances issues, they take care of bookkeeping, they take care of anything which talks about the finances. And when you have this, and the cost is not very expensive. I mean, the kind of package that they start off is somewhere around 9,000 to 10,000 rupees a month. That definitely you can pay to make sure that your accounting hassles are not on yourself. So this is a very important thing, because at times what happens is these challenges after a year or so get back to you with a lot of government penalties. And then you start bribing the officers, which again goes to a very hefty amount that you have to, ultimately end up closing the case. So from the startup, from the initial stages, if you have someone knowledgeable who can understand, and especially the services who are, acting as a startup, the SaaS-based services. Again, when you talk about the 3 ventures that I've mentioned in the PPT, all the 3 ventures are works on the SaaS-based model. That means you have a proper client dashboard. You can see what all liabilities you have and the kind of tax that you need to pay and how much the accountant is charging for what. And and because it's a SaaS-based model, then you know the kind of amount that you need to pay per month or annually. You don't have to actually wait for the heavy bill to come to your desk and then cry for it. So I strongly suggest to outsource the financial part of it in the very beginning. Now that you're incorporated, the very important phase, if you see, this is mostly on the reputation building, and I give it a good 1 year to focus completely on the reputation building part of it. How we can build a reputation. So generally what I do is I divide the focus of the first years of effort into these 4 circles. The first circle is about the virtual reputation. How small you can be physically, but you need to sound professional and experienced virtually, right? How can you do that? Because you all are digital marketer, and it should not be a big problem for you to build that virtual reputation. What does it take? It takes a website. The website needs to pop up on the top of the search engines for the keywords that your business is in, and that influences the mentality of the decision maker. When they see that for this particular keyword that I'm looking for, and your company is popping up on the first position, maybe the first 3 position or the first 5 position, first thing is it is creating a referral traffic, it is generating a lead. With that, it is also influencing their decision making. Because the moment they see you popping up on the top of the search result, they have an understanding that, yes, this is the company that I was actually looking for, and the proposal is okay, the quotation is okay, let's go with the best. So search engine optimization is definitely one of the most important part of the virtual reputation. The second most important aspect of the virtual reputation would be the guest articles. You need to offer guest articles on third-party websites. You need to write a lot of content which can reference back to your website in a way that doesn't look a backlinking opportunity kind of a exercise. It has to be very genuine. So mostly it comes from the leadership. So people who are the marketing officers and the CEOs have to start writing their columns onto various blogs, which builds a very strong authority in the market. The third one is the listicles. So right now I think for everything we have listicles. For best hospitals in India, we have listicles. For best agencies in India, we have listicles. Best content marketing company in India, we have listicle. And these listicles to some extent influences the mentality of the person who is seeking for the information. For every service company, we have a listicle, right? So it is very important for you to also register your company's name and the website in these listicles, because at the end of the day, when they are going through this list, and if they cannot spot you, they might not contact you. So you need to be there. You need to be there in the listicles as well. And with that, obviously, social media presence, being a creative agency, and if yourselves social media presence is not felt, then definitely you're missing out on something which is very critical to the virtual reputation. The second circle that I follow very strongly is the cost-effective services. because you are new and you understand that the client will not directly fall for the kind of portfolio that you have. So you'll have to be a little cost effective in your services. You need to cut down, you need to compete very heavily with the kind of competitors that particular client is being offered by other competitors of yours. So you need to have a very cost-effective services strategy wherein the cost itself should be a very good differentiator. But then again, it should not be that your approach in approaching a client should be any lesser. It has to be top class. It has to compete with the kind of competition that you have. With that, if you give some cost-effective solutions, it is going to definitely help you in onboarding the early clients in the first year of your journey. The third bucket is very much relatable. I think we have already spoken about, I think Anmol has given a very good understanding of how client relations are important. So it's all interconnected. When you talk about the client relations, it's more about the quality services and the kind of client servicing that you offer, which directly impacts the retention rate. So retention rate is very much important because the moment you lose a client, they badmouth about your services. And to retain the client is the most important thing. In the first phase, if you lose out more and more clients, that can harm your reputation very badly. I think so far in shoot order, we have kept our retention rate to a good 70 to 80%, which has been a successful factor in our growth. So retention rate is very much important. And all of the three things that you see, the good client relations can only come up with good quality offerings, services offering, and then it can definitely impact the retention rate. The fourth part is the lead flow. I think this is the last part, but I think a lot of you people must be struggling with the lead flow. So in any startup journey, be it any sector, the source of finding the revenue, source of finding that lead flow or the sales flow is the most important thing. And every company learns it the very hard way. I mean, a lot of people have their own way of generating leads. A lot of people have their own way of telling their stories. This is something that has to come within from you. There has to be something exceptional. There has to be something unique that you do to increase that lead flow. There are a lot of channels that you can definitely use, but then apart from that, there is something, for us, it has been the search engine optimization ranking. We have been ranking since a good 5 to 6 years on the top of the search engine for Hyderabad's best digital marketing agency. So for us, this has been a very constant flow of lead generation, and so far we have not spent any amount in running PPC ads. At the same time, we spend a lot of money in running the remarketing ads because of the kind of list that we have prepared. But this investment is really good because it creates that value. They understand, the people who are already connected to you, and if they see your creativity changing month on month, it creates a very strong impact. So lead flow, coming back to the lead flow, there are various channels. I think you can run PPC ads in the beginning to get those initial lead flow. You can subscribe to some of the, I think there are some ventures which are coming up who only work on the lead generation part of it, wherein you pay on acquiring those leads. So pay-per-acquiring method is what works there. So these are various channels that you can adopt to generate lead flow, but I strongly feel the inbound lead that comes to you is the most productive one. Having an inbound lead, having visitors coming to your website, filling up a lead is the best quality lead than expecting them to, you going them and making the cold calls and the cold SMSs and the emails. I don't think so that works in this era right now we are in, but the inbound works like charm. So with that, the first phase is done. Now that, just assume that we have crossed the first year of our journey and we have a good virtual online reputation. The second part is the standardization part. This is how the client actually sees you. They are very minute, they check on the minute details, they highlight it to you in a way that they don't leave any opportunity to make you understand that you're not doing good. They'll keep you always on your hook. They'll always keep you on the toes to make sure that you're always putting the right efforts for his venture. And this is very much acceptable because though how much ever results that you have produced for that particular client, but they still want to keep you on the tip of the tongue, because for them it feels like that if we keep that relations tight, or if we keep that tap of the bottle knocked, then they feel like there's something that companies putting a lot more efforts than compared to the other, than being silent and being lenient about it. So this is how the client sees you. And so in the team building stage, I've also received this kind of feedback from people from Ogilvy, that this is the actual thing that client expects you to have. They need a strong account manager. Account manager is the one who looks after your results, the strategy, the planning, the research part of it. The second important individual that they look out for is the copywriter. You need to have a very strong copywriter to satisfy their creative needs. And this is really important because I've been hearing it from a lot of experienced people who have been running client servicing for a good 12 years to 15 years now. The second most important thing is the client servicing manager. So on any digital process or any digital marketing project, the client servicing has to be very active, because these days we exchange creatives almost on daily basis. Earlier it used to be like we used to prepare calendar for the whole month, send it to them in advance, and they used to make changes or reject and approve and all that. Now with the advancement of the instant messaging apps like WhatsApp, it has become so immediate that the sharing of the creatives, asking for the approval, is a day-to-day task now. So you need to have a very strong client servicing executive who will always be under the heat, because client, if they see any mistake, they'll directly question his ability and all that. So you need to have a very strong and understanding client servicing manager who can fulfill their day-to-day needs and can give them the required creative or the research that they're expecting in the game. Then the third important part is the BD. So this is the guy who actually will scale the advertisement spends that a client is doing with your company. So for example, let's say you have been running a project for a good 3 months now, and you signed up that particular company on a lower retainership or a lower revenue model, just to make a good impact in the beginning and then scale it up. This is the guy who has to understand the results. This is the guy who has to pitch in the right time and ask them for even hefty budgets. So this is one of the four key players that a client expects an agency to have. And these four positions are to be very strong, because rest of all can be okay. But these four positions needs to be very strong so that client is satisfied in terms of their needs. The later part, if you can see in the slide, it's more about cumulative shared teams, wherein a lot of members who are into the graphic designing part of it, the content creation part of it, then there are people who are working on PPC management part of it, the link building part of it, the on-page and the off-page activities of it. So if you see, we can have this as a shared space as in nobody wants to interact with these people on day-to-day basis. Maybe occasionally you might have to set up a meeting with the guy, but generally this is always a shared space, because if you have a dedicated SEO executive and the PPC guy for a particular team, then the kind of money that Indian clients pay you in a monthly retainership will not actually gel up with the kind of resources that you're offering to them. So this is the kind of combination that has been successfully working for us, and I think there are chances that we have changed this model also. There are times where we have gone back to some other models to try whether there's anything better than that, but I think this is the best model which has worked for us so far. So moving on to the next slide. Now that this is another year, I mean, we have passed the second year of setting up an agency. So in the first, we created our online reputation. The second, we focused more on the relationship building and the client retainership and all that. In the second year, we were standardizing the process. We were making sure that whatever we do is given to client in a way that they can understand that we are a well-organized company. The next point comes is the multiplication. So multiplication is very simple, like how you have a team for, let's say, for example, let's say an account manager is handling 3 clients, and this is the team that is given to him, and if you get one more client, you need to multiply. So keep on multiplying, and then the whole company size increases as like how you get the projects. So multiplication again, we need to have smaller teams because a big hierarchy can kill a lot of digital creativity that we have right now in the industry. So we need to have very smaller teams who can directly report to the digital head, the operation heads, and I think this has been very successful factor for Facebook's growth also. If you see Mark Zuckerberg talking about even for Steve Jobs, they keep on mentioning that we always have smaller teams executing smaller tasks instead of building a bigger project and running it in hierarchy. So I think we also believe in the same. We need to have smaller teams where the decision making is instant, and the kind of approvals and the rejection happens is on a very lower level of approach. We don't have to literally go for have 3 people in middle to finally send something to the client because it's so fast. So that comes the multiplication part. Then the expansion, the scaling of an agency. Now that you're there after completing the second year of running your agency, and definitely there'll be challenges to it, but then the scaling and the expansion part is something that is very much individualistic. So for example, let's say these are the various options that we are presently exploring for our own venture. I would say that we are right now here. It took us more than the one that I was mentioning in the slide, but then this is the kind of further expansion opportunities that you can see in the market. So the first expansion opportunity is the enterprise level clients. So we understand while you were startup and while you were creating your agency, you were also dealing with startups because startups need startups. Cost is a factor. So at this time, you have a great case studies. You made some real successful venture, and money was not the part of it, but you had a very good learning. So while looking for the scaling and the expansion part of it, it becomes more towards approaching an enterprise level client. When I talk about enterprise level clients, these are basically the big ones, like I'm talking about IBM, HP, Dell. So they have smaller processes. I was actually talking to vice president of Ogilvy Delhi, and they were saying that an image resize project goes for 1 crore of billing in a year. Just the image resizing. That means they give you the creative and you have to resize that into multiple ad platforms. So these kind of projects itself can become very can generate a great deal of revenue for your venture to further grow. The second option that we have and which we are working very strongly on is the developing your own digital marketing products. So when you grow and when you scale, in expansion, you would like to cover each and every aspect of digital marketing, be it the call support, be it the email marketing, be it push notifications, be it SMS, so and social media automation. So all of these tools, if you can build of your own, that helps a lot. So what we have done so far here is we have an email marketing automation tool, which is kind of a replica of MailChimp. Now MailChimp works on a US standard. When you talk about MailChimp, they charge, I think, some $10 to send about 10,000 emails, I think, or it's even costlier, I think. So what we have done is we have reduced that cost down a lot, and we are selling the same services with the same kind of capabilities in half the cost, with the GST, with the GST inputs that you can get in your books, which you can't get from MailChimp. On top of it, you'll have to pay a 6% equalization levy to government. So this is one of the offering that we have come up with. We are developing a tool which is going to work more on the push notification part of it, the browser notification and the app notification part of it. Then we have taken a white labeled service for SMS. Now, few tools is something that you can create, but some of the expertise you need to buy it from the market. And now you also require the branding. So you rely on people who are doing actually great in that particular niche and ask them for the white labeled services. So for example, for SMSs, we have gone to a company called Text Local. Text Local's journey has been really good in the past few years. So we took a white labeled service offering for SMS from them and branded with shoot order on it. So this also becomes your offering again, and you're also building a good relationship with an industry partner. So we are working on something called landing page maker. So we receive a lot of problems in terms of the lead calculation. For example, let's say we prepare a landing page and we generate a lead campaign. Then a lot of times client comes back to us saying that the kind of count that you are giving is not equivalent to what we are receiving, and the kind of calls that you are showing or Google AdWords is showing has gone to your number is not equivalent to what you've received. So we're building a tool which can calculate the accurate email leads and the call leads. So call leads, to some extent, Google is already finding out a solution wherein they mask your number with their telephony number. But there's a lot of drop-offs to that particular service. So we are working on something wherein we'll have a very accurate calculation of the kind of leads that your marketing campaign has generated, and we'll give them on a client dashboard again, so they don't have to actually wait for the emails or SMSs. Though email and SMS is a part of it, but again they'll have a very clean, neatly managed dashboard wherein they can actually go and check out the past activities. So this is where we cover mostly on developing the digital marketing products. Then the third expansion-based opportunity that we have is targeting the developed economies. When I talk about developed economies, US, UK, Australia, Austria, Iceland, and all that, Sweden. So it's very hard to get into that market, but when you try it again and again, I think you'll find a way to get into that market again. Few things you need to have a clarity on. These people who are in the developed economies, they don't look to outsource the creativity to companies from India. They think we have better creativity. So the design part of it, the content to some extent they do, but the design element of it, the UI, UX is something that they want to keep it with them, and they will never outsource it to you. The processes that they want to outsource or they look to outsource are mostly on the ad management, the media buying part of it, wherein they give you the budget and you have to buy the media and maintain their ROIs. So this is more of a process-oriented job. Here you are doing something which is automated, and there are rules and protocols set to define that, and you're basically following those protocols and serving them back. So this is a little boring in nature, but again, the money that you make is heavy. So this is also one of the market or the opportunity that you can look to tap. Yeah. Okay, so with that, we have also built a very strong content strategy. So this is something which will remain forever. We make white papers, we make case studies, and we put it on our website. So for example, let's say when you search for healthcare case studies in 2019, from Google search, you come to our website and you download some case studies. And in returns, we give you a nice PDF, nice case study on that particular client. So this, to some extent, takes our contact details to them, and they share it with their people around. So that these kind of content marketing strategies in long run helps you a lot. And this is not just about the case studies. We can prepare white papers. We can prepare as the speakers these days are working more on SoundCloud and Spotify. So content can be anything. Content is not just creating a written content. Content can be rich, content can be a video, an image, or a piece of voice, or the text. So during the whole approach, during the scaling and expansion part of it also, you need to have a very strong content strategy. And content strategy can be defined in various ways. And this is where Deepak and Sanjay comes into the picture. So any doubts so far? Yeah, please.
Yeah. So I'm a complete newbie in this sector. I have been teaching English for the past 10 years, but I'm looking for other avenues. I have strong language skills. I have two questions related to 2 points you made. One is the thing that you said about Upwork. So initially, like 2-3 months back, I tried to find some work on Freelancer, but I find it very tedious because there's so much work over there, but nothing gets allotted to newcomers. That's the first thing. And the second thing about it is that the people who are providing work over there are themselves very unprofessional. So they tend not to define their work properly, and then they expect better work from us. That's one thing. And the second thing is, you said that the first 3 months you should do some freelancing and so on. So could you provide some resources for people like me who can get some work, even if it is not very high paying, so that we can at least build a profile?
Okay. So the first question was more on the dissatisfaction that you had while dealing with the client. So freelancing is made to be like that. You cannot expect client to be very, building that relationship with you. Though there are some cases wherein you build a very strong relationship with them. But then again, this is give and take. When you serve them better, they take care of you. So, but in freelancing, again, it's nothing that you can compare of and you can complain of. Coming to the first point of the first question, see, there's a problem statement that you're not getting the assignments. And have you ever thought why you're not getting that?
Because I'm a newcomer.
Because you're a newbie. You don't have a good portfolio. So now, what a lot of people do, it's a hack. It's not legal, but it's hack. What people do is they create a different account. They award one project from this account to this account. And they deliver it to you. What you do, you have a successful delivery of a project and a rating to it. So this is a hack again. There are various other hacks like that which can actually solve your problem. So not getting a project is not the end of the world, right? You need to find the alternatives. How you can do to create that portfolio. To create the portfolio, you need the projects. How do you get those projects? Maybe with a good messaging communication. A lot of times when you work on Upwork, they ask you to bid for that particular project, and you bid. Then there's a good communication messages that you exchange with them. So if you can pitch very effectively to them in that communication, also helps a lot of times. I forgot the second question. Can you please repeat?
Yeah, I wanted to know whether there are any resources that you can provide for content writers who are beginning.
Okay. I think resources, you already know your job. You need to find the right place. And I think in my slide already I've mentioned the 3 best freelancing networks. I think Fiverr is the one that you should be eyeing up for now. You can create small gigs for $5, $10, and try to do some kind of paid promotions on it to make your listing more visible in the search, in the Fiverr search, and attract some projects.
Thanks a lot.
Sure, thank you. You can be a part of hacking. Sorry? You all can be a part of hacking. Yeah.
In one of your slides, you mentioned that you need a team of 4 people.
Yeah, please.
Hello. You need a team of 4 people at least for the account manager, the copywriter, client servicing, and BD.
Yeah.
Now you know how clients pay in India.
Yeah.
So for example, you hire 4 people and you are having 3, 4 projects as of running, but you are not able to justify the cost of, you're not getting enough from your clients. Now in that case, what should you do? You are into minus, I guess.
Okay. So this is where your leadership skills come into the picture. You motivate your team to work a little more extra than they were supposed to do. So what you do basically is you have a small team and you get more projects until the time you actually make some profitability out of it. So till that time, you ask your team to work on the upcoming projects that you're getting on board. This is one of the way, but apart from that, in any business, as we all say that, you know, a little risk is required. If you actually foresee a good opportunity in the future, you will hire people and then, you know, evaluate your risk and then expect to get more projects in the recent time. So in the near future. So it completely depends on your approach. But
Okay.
again, I think a lot of time these issues can be dealt at your end. You as a leader, you can find some ways to come out of this situation. Yes, it happens. I mean, if you actually see and compare the pay scale that a client does in Hyderabad versus Mumbai, there's a huge difference. And Mumbai versus LA and Vegas, there's a huge difference. LA because that's where, you know, the quality creative agencies are located.
Okay,
So-
just a small question once more. So I'm into digital marketing since last 8 to 10 years, and as a freelancing, if you'd call about, I have been working with freelance. I am a freelancer itself from 7 years. I'm working as a full-time and a freelancer. Okay, which the most cases here people
Yeah.
sitting in. So, but I'm worried that if I should quit the job and start with a digital marketing agency, I do have 7 to 8 clients running right now. But there's a fear. So
That's
what's
a
the right
lot.
time?
If you have 7 to 8 clients as a freelancer, you need to form a group. That's what I was mentioning, and that's where my intent of asking how much you're earning as a freelancer. Because if you're making 30, 50,000 rupees to hire a team, maybe start off with interns. That's where you need to actually go for.
So
the
I already have a team and I'm paying my team for, but all they are freelancers just like me.
So what happens now is you will always deliver the work wherein the client expects that you're a freelancer, isn't it? So the kind of money that you're expecting for that work will never be given to you. You need to tell them that we are professional, we are available for you all the time, or at least the office times. That's where you actually get paid more. So if you want to double that up and have, you know, more retainerships from these kind of clients, then you'll have to take that risk. Sure. Okay. So with that, I have the last slide, and this has been kind of secret sauce for us, which I have divided into 2 segments: the do's and the don'ts. So do's, monthly reporting is mandatory. Any project, anyone who is paying it to you, expect at least a final report wherein you can tell them what you have done for the whole month, and you can tell the kind of work that you're looking to do in the next month. So monthly reporting is mandatory. Then always send invoice on the time and follow up gently. A lot of time what happens is we miss out on our own end to send the invoices on the right time. It can cost your client. It can also make the payments delayed. Keep the work transparent. Transparency works the best. If you can keep your work transparent to the client will have a very humane connection with your team and your work, which can also result in retaining them for a very longer time. Automate all the monotonous work. When I say the tedious, the repetitive work, you have to make sure that you come up with solutions which can automate the tasks. So for example, let's say for reporting, I think SEMrush has a reporting add-on very recently done to their tool, which makes it very easier for you to report the SEO, the PPC, and the social media management part of it. So you put your configurations in the template of the reporting, and in the just a click of a button, you basically export the report and send to the client. Then be loyal to the clients. You have to make sure that you're loyal to the clients. If you start ignoring their meeting requests, if you think that, you know, ठीक है, ये मन चल गया, next time we'll see it again, we'll do something on the meeting and we'll try to commit something else, that doesn't work. Be loyal to the clients. Keep a healthy workplace. I have not spoken a lot about employees management in my PPT, but this is one of the most important thing. You need to have a very healthy workspace. At the same time, you need to encourage and motivate your employees to do something which wherein they can put their hearts out. There are 3 things. After that, I think I slept while making the PPT. So in don't look for the short-term income. A lot of us, what we do is we look for the short-term income. And sometimes these processes that you get to make the short-term income are not very legal. So for example, let's say in affiliate marketing, I think while Gaurav was talking, we were talking about the clocking URL. This is something which is illegal actually. So as a digital marketer, there are affiliate products which you can sell and run PPC advertisements on, but wherein the advertisement platform is not allowing you to run the advertisement, you should respect that, because that's how the whole ecosystem works. So this is one of the short-term income when we generally eye for. And then there are some projects wherein you get an initial project cost, and then you think you'll run away for about, you'll not reply to the clients for a good 6 months, and they'll keep on pushing that money. That doesn't happen. So plagiarism. This is one of the very important part of any kind of digital marketing project that you handle. Be it content, be it the creative that you use, or be it the idea. You have to make sure that you don't fall in the bracket of creating something which is coming out of the plagiarism. So make sure that you are out of it, and then don't burden your team. Keep a very healthy space, healthy workspace. Don't burden it to the level that they leave you. So with client retentions, the employee retentions is even important. With that, I'll end my session.
Without which they cannot survive.
Okay. Anything which is having a website face. And see, basically when you put a website for your company, you have an understanding that this website will lead to generate some leads or business for you. So when you decide that you need to have a website, that means you also need a digital marketing. So a lot of, if you see a lot of manufacturing companies, when you see, a lot of manufacturing companies, they only rely on their business cards. And just for the namesake, they create a website, but they don't expect anything. But I've seen ventures. We are doing search engine optimization for a company called Bhagyanagar India. They are into copper manufacturing. They are competing with Aditya Birla for the copper manufacturing. We have generated leads for them through search engine optimization. So the moment you decide to have a website, I think that's where you also need the digital marketing. Anything else?
Could you give some business?
So sorry, we are running short of time. Rajat, if we can take this offline?
No, this is for the freelancers. Like for freelancers, which are the businesses they should immediately target so that they can fetch the business from them?
Instant PPC, run the ads.
No, which are the business segments? Which are the businesses?
Business segments for an agency.
Like
Okay.
retail
Sorry. I got your question wrong actually. I think the most important sector for now is the healthcare. Healthcare in India is booming, and you have a lot of clinics, you have a lot of hospitals. Any clinic that you enter into are fighting for the leads. So if you can, if you are actually looking to set up an agency and want to target, it's the healthcare. Practo is not able to provide because it's more of a doctor-based approach, not a clinic-based approach. So that's where you can chip in. Thank you so much.